Hey friends, welcome back. Today you're listening to episode number 67. And if you hear birds chirping in the background, it's because I'm sitting on the back porch because we just had the craziest snow apocalypse in Texas and, the middle region, I guess, of the United States. I don't watch the news. That we've literally probably ever had, at least in the 40 years I've been alive and here in Texas. So it is sunny and it's warm and it's breezy and it's so incredible outside. So I'm sitting out here recording this intro for you. So I am delighted to bring you today's episode with fellow Hollis tribe member. A lot of the super great women that I've had on this podcast I met through Rachel Hollis and her work, so it's super fun to have those super driven women on the show. Okay, so today I've got Danielle Throckmorton, event planner and health and transformation coach, and we are discussing how you can intentionally reach for more in your life, biz, health, finances, all the things. We are talking about how the heck she planned a women's retreat in the middle of a dadgum pandemic and a whole lot more. So get your ears and your hearts ready because you're going to be so on fire to overcome any obstacle in your way after this episode. Woo! Let's dive in. You're listening to the Live with Audacity podcast. Heyo! I'm your host, Melissa Stewart, and I went from floundering entrepreneur to successful business mama with one simple idea: to be myself. What I learned was the blueprint I needed wasn't out there, it was already inside me, and I just needed permission to do my own thing my own way. And I want to help you do that too. Join me and my guests as we help mompreneurs around the world grow an impactful business customized to them without confusion, frustration, and distractions. Are you ready? Because girl, it is time to embrace your authenticity and live with audacity. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Live with Audacity podcast. I'm super excited about today's episode because I get to talk to Danielle Throckmorton, health and transformation coach and founder of Reach Retreat, which is a luxury retreat for women seeking a life of intention, both personally and in their business or career. I think this is super cool because obviously, retreats are amazing, especially when you get to go do them all by yourself with other incredible women who have the same, mindset and life goals and things like that. So first of all, welcome, Danielle, to the show.
Thank you, Melissa. I'm so happy to be here.
So tell us a little bit about how you became a health and transformation coach and decided that Reach Retreat was the thing that you wanted to pursue.
Okay, absolutely. So obviously the story has been years in the making, but I had this passion to always work for myself. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I ran in my family. There was always that seed planted there. And I had been working for about 6 years for a law firm. I actually I did divorce by day. And then when I launched my first business, I started planning weddings. So people think that's kind of funny, but
that's hilarious. And also one of the first places I started too is weddings. Hilarious.
I know. So it was funny. I would be like, tell my clients, okay, so I plan divorce by day and weddings by night. But it was a lot. Yeah. So I was a mom at the time, was a single mom, and I was working full time. And then I was trying to launch a business or I wanted to launch a business. I was actually getting married to my husband, Preston. We've been married almost 5 years now. And as soon as we were headed back from our honeymoon, I told him, I was like, I don't want to go back. And he was like, I don't either. Like, I don't want you to go back. He was like, just quit. And I was like, no, I can't do that. So for 2 years, I was working full time. I went from just me and Leah to a family of 5. And I was working a side business, a side hustle. And I was really struggling to keep up with my physical health I was trying to work all day and come home and then be the wife and the mom and then try to work my second business at night. So I'm sure you can relate to like the exhaustion.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So I actually let my health and wellness really kind of take the back burner. And I started realizing that I was physically sick. I was seeing the doctor. I had a lot of colds. I was having some gut issues. I had had quite a bit of weight loss. And so I went to my doctor and they're like, Danielle, you are severely vitamin deficient. You are going to have to start injections. Like something has to change. You have to start making yourself a priority. And I didn't know what that meant. And I had seen everyone was reading this Girl Wash Your Face book, and this was years ago. And I picked it up. I was like, okay, so if people want to grow, you got to read. I always see all the people that are doing great reading. So I was just
same.
Yes. And so
I never realized how much we have in common, honestly. This is so incredible. I mean, I knew that we were similar, but wow, like your story sounds so similar to mine. Okay, keep going.
No, you're good. I'm glad it's resonating with you. So I fast forward, I started reading this book and there was this 90 days challenge that was coming up and it was about the end of October at that point. So I said, yes, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I literally just made a post and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this 5 to Thrive workout for 90 days. Who wants to join me? I just put it on my personal page and I had about 50 women say yes in my group. And I was like, or in my Facebook feed. So I decided to put us in a group. We did that for 90 days. I showed up, I worked out, I drank the water, I ate the kale, I did all the things. And I was leading these girls. And really I was just doing it because I felt like I needed support myself. And so I was like, okay, great, fun. So the group was supposed to dissolve. And come at the end of the 90 days, the girls were like, Danielle, like, I love this. Please don't stop this group. Like, this has changed things for me. And so I had like this weird feeling of like, who am I? Like, why, how am I inspiring them? Like, I literally created this because I didn't have anyone to support me in my circle. And that would be the first step that I had into, I guess, a leadership. And that's been about 2.5 years ago. I have since left my full-time job. I have been pursuing entrepreneurship for almost 3 years. I really got in control of my health and saw how, like, when I was taking care of my physical body, my mental body, I guess is the best way to put it, was showing up, was meeting me, and I was having energy to be in these other places. And I wanted to create that for women. The women in my group were elevating and they were growing. And I had this like pull on my heart after experiencing the Rise conference in July, I guess it would have been of 2019.
Yeah, we were both there together.
Yeah, that's how we connected. And I was like, what if I could create this experience, but like in an intimate setting, and it actually be women that like want to rise together? Because I can't teach these girls everything. I don't know everything. So I thought, what if I create this space and bring in speakers and people get to pour into each other and walk away from this experience like fully supported? So that's where I'm at, girl. And the health coaching was really me just wanting to help transform this feeling of living an intentional life in all areas, not just health, but health is in the complete person, 365 days a year.
Yes, I love it so much. And it's so interesting to me to listen to you say that your physical health really helped dictate your mental health. And that is something I totally struggle with. Like, I feel like we're on the same page, but backwards, where I worked on the mental stuff first. And now it's like, oh crap, I kind of should probably get my health together. Yeah. So that's awesome. Okay. So tell me a little bit about, okay, we're talking about Reach Retreat. Let's talk about where did this idea come from? I mean, I know that you said that you wanted to get women together and teach them, but you couldn't just do it yourself. But what made you originally, you said, who am I to do this? Yada, yada. How did you decide a retreat is the thing? I can totally do that.
Okay. So actually the pull on my heart was definitely during my intentional time of focus with God. I really committed to almost a full year of every single morning devotional and time with God. I had really wanted to grow my faith. And this isn't a faith-based retreat. Okay. It's not. But I felt this pull of God saying, you you are capable of bigger things. I want you to see that. I want you to see that people see you as a leader and that they need this. And I want you to lead with confidence. And I thought, oh my gosh, like this is terrifying. Like I was scared, but I remember so boldly telling people in my group, like, if it's scaring you, like, and this fear is like holding you back, I want you to think about what's going to happen whenever you overcome it. Like if you can just get to that place to step out of the fear and into your purpose. And I kept talking about it, but I was like, Danielle, this is your time to live it out. And my first company, which I still have, is Throckmorton Events. And it's actually how I host retreats through there. And
awesome.
launched doing weddings, right? Doing events. And so I knew that I could handle the organization of the event and the design, and I could create this luxury experience. But until recently, I hadn't even seen myself in the light of leadership in that space. I just thought about hosting. And now it's like, I just feel God keeps pulling me for more and more.
Oh, I love it so much. And it's so interesting that you say that because sometime last year, I don't even really know when it was, I felt the same call on my heart, just not to do I do want to do a retreat one day, but anyway, but the call to like really dig into my faith and grow my faith. I have been taking myself to church since I was literally taking myself by myself
Yep.
to church since I was 6 years old. And, you know, haven't even read the Bible really. Like, at 6 years old, I'm going to Sunday school and all the teachers are like, oh, you've heard this story. You've heard this story. And that's literally all I've heard my whole life is, oh, you know this story already. No, I don't actually. I don't know anything. Right. But yeah. And so I just felt this calling on my heart to dive deeper and have that partnership, that best friendship, that super deep relationship with Christ that I could really just talk to him anytime that I wanted, right? Like a best friend, like a person that, not a person, you know, a being that's there for me all the time and is always supporting me and, you know, just grateful for that. So that's interesting that you said that that's kind of where that came from originally. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I think, not to get too deep into this, but
yeah,
I honestly feel that I have never had a closer relationship with God than I do now. And it has been such a gift in the middle of what we've been faced with to have that kind of relationship. And I battled at first as to whether or not to make the retreat faith-based. And then I realized my group, my women's group, where we got together for 90 days as just this small little group of women and have grown and impacted, that through living an authentic Christian life and it and being my true self, women in my group who identified as, you know, atheist, things like that, are actually saved, have announced that they've been saved through our group just from us living out who we are. And
yes.
And so I just felt like I had to share that, because sometimes we think that Christianity has to be such a put yourself in a box kind of perspective. And let me tell you, God are real tight. And we talk like normal. I'll be like, God, like, I need you right now. I'm not being the best Danielle. Like, you don't have to always be like, dear Heavenly Father. So
exactly.
Like, I have moments like that where I'm just in awe of him. But I grew up going to church pretty much by myself. My dad took us, but he didn't attend church. And I worked on my relationship from home with me and my devotional and my God. So just think about for people who are on that path.
Absolutely. Oh, that's been the biggest growth for me, is having that alone time to dig into the Bible. And, you know, I picked a Bible study that I wanted to do by myself, and that alone has strengthened my relationship, hopping around in the Bible and then reading these stories and then getting so totally sucked in and like, oh my gosh, what happens next? Like, and it just has really strengthened and solidified that relationship, and let me know that, because how do I put this? Haven't found that structured religion is, you know, super ideal for a lot of most people, right? And the condescending nature and the judgmental nature and things like that. Yes, God is going to judge me, but God is going to judge me. Okay. And so, yeah, so I've really built that personal relationship with him from home, from my couch as well. I'm so happy that you said that. And I love, 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 love. I'm over here and we can't see each other because we're doing this, without video. But when you said, when I show up as my authentic, true self without, you didn't say this part, but without having to feel like I'm forcing my religion on people and blah, 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 just being my authentic self, being loving, being caring, being just true to who I am and my thought process and things like that, show other people that when they are the true them that God has made them to be, they can also be loved and cared for by others and just really welcomed into the spaces they belong and things like that. So I love that.
Me too. I love it. Such good stuff.
Okay, so tell us something that you wish you would have had the courage to do sooner.
Oh, okay. So I would say I believe in timing. So sometimes whenever I get asked this question, because I've been asked this before, especially around entrepreneurship, but I would say that I believe in timing and things happening for a certain reason, but in a certain time, but boundaries has been like my thing for the last couple of months. I've been so zeroed in and focused in. I wish I would have set more boundaries in my personal relationships, in my business, with my clients, all the way around. So I'm going to say boundaries.
I love it. Any particular type of boundaries or boundary itself that has really jumped out at you as like, oh, thank God that boundary is there, because I would have let myself go or let this person take advantage of me had I not been mindful of this.
Well, that's why I needed boundaries, because I actually got in those positions where then I was like, dang it, why did I let that happen? So now I'm hoping to move forward and to have these stronger boundaries and to be more confident and more educating those around me on what they are. And so that moving forward, there's this respect factor for, both ways. But I would say putting boundaries around my worth when it comes to the time that I take away from my family to work in my business, my value. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. So are you saying that you have set the boundaries of at this certain time, I close it down and I am now family Danielle rather than always being on and available?
Yes. So I actually have set boundaries where I only work the weekends that my daughter is gone with her father. So I literally said, I had one summer, Melissa, that I worked 8 weekends in a row. So that was every weekend almost for the summer. And I'm never doing that again. And I realized, I was like, that was me not holding a boundary. It was saying yes to things. And instead of trusting, like, hey, like if you were charging what you were worth, and bringing in the value and really showing people the value that you bring, you could literally work half that time for the same amount. So that was something too. I didn't set that boundary there. And then my relationships, the boundaries of like personal space. Like I have had like those friends, Melissa, that just call and they just suck all of your energy. And the time that they call you is when like there's a crisis, which I want to be that friend. But I don't know if you have ever felt that before. And it's like, I've started educating people, like ask if I have space. And I've been doing that by leading, for example. So I'll say like, hey, do you have space to help me with this situation I'm going through, before I just like word vomit all over them.
Dump. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really brilliant. I love that. Ooh, I'm going to use that.
To help them. So like if they call and I'm dealing with something, I'm not even showing up in the best way for them. So if I'm educating them and I'm telling them, hey girl, like I love you and I know this is something that's going on and I want to help you, but I'm in a place right now that I don't feel like I'm going to be the best friend. Like I feel like that's something you want to say, but sometimes like it keeps you from also like saying the wrong thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, it also makes people understand like, oh, okay, if I need someone's undivided attention right now, I need to find someone else.
Right. Well, and that's the thing too that's hard because I want to be that listening ear, but we have to have boundaries. We can't always say yes to everyone and everything.
Right. Yeah, totally agree. Okay, so what is one thing you would tell someone who wants to get started in entrepreneurship or planning retreats, that sort of thing?
Okay. So the whole reason I designed the retreat is because I wanted women specifically to create their version of a life of intention, like what the best life that they could have looks like. Because so often you see someone else doing something and they might be like, someone hearing this podcast might be like, oh my gosh, I need to do a retreat, but maybe that's not really truly in alignment with them and what they
Mm-hmm.
think moving forward. And so oftentimes we say yes to all those things, like we talked about a second ago, and we have so many things going and we're working so far wide that we never get to work deep. And so I started implementing the time of intentional focus we talked about a minute ago. And I literally just taught a series on this. I actually have a course on it. And I created this intentional space in my home, and I do work in this space on myself. Because if you want to grow a business and you want to expand and you want to really live that life of intention, it starts with you. So I think that the biggest thing is like, do the journaling, right? Do the meditation, or mindfulness is what some people will call it. Practice your gratitude, get into the word if that's something that is in alignment with you, and do the inner work, which is taking care of your physical being so that you can grow your business instead of doing it like I did or like Melissa said she did, and not having like that mental or physical body to sustain you in your growth.
Yes, that's so good. And I love that you said that you have a space for that. We are actually reading Atomic Habits in my Facebook group right now. And that is one of the things that we're focusing on this week is your environment and how, when you work from your computer in bed, well, now your brain is getting confused, like, am I supposed to be working, am I supposed to be going to sleep, what's happening? And so
You got to have that's like
exactly,
work and personal boundary.
yes, exactly. And so making each space for a certain thing, I love that. So do you have any tips for that, to make a space specifically for those things?
Yes. Okay. So I actually just, like I said, I just did a series on this. So I have a course on creating your own intentional space. And I literally walk through, like, including all of your senses. What does it look like? What does it smell like? What do you see? What are you sipping on? Like, as far as taste, are you having coffee? Are you having tea or fizz? Or like, what are you enjoying in that space? And making it inviting. So I talk about aesthetics and all of these things because you want to, one, have a protected space that calls you in, that you want to be in. And if you have an environment that's hitting on those senses, like as a designer, I think of all of those things. Like, what does an event smell like and look like? And what colors do they see and what textures? So I get like super giddy and like nerdy about this stuff. But when I walk past that space, I want to be there. So
Yeah.
it makes me show up. And I've literally heard my girls just in the last like week or two that have gone through this with me, where they're like, I'm showing up 2 or 3 times a day. I'm in that space. And I'm thinking to myself,
Yeah.
what kind of work you're doing, girl? Like, do you know, like, this is only the beginning.
Oh, it's so amazing. I love that. I love the idea of having that one designated space. Of course, my desk is for all of those things, but
Well,
but
I have
I
a space, and then I have a corner in my office, which is where I'm sitting talking to you. And I have my incense going, and I'm sitting on my meditation pillow, and I have like my journals next to me. And this is like my haven to step away from my desk and work on Danielle. It's right here.
Oh, it's so good. So good. Okay. So there's no such thing as failure unless you give up, of course. But is there a time you felt like you failed and then turned it around and got yourself together? And what did you learn from that?
Okay, so this one's going to be kind of broad because the first thing I think of when you ask me that is one of the biggest moments of my life that, and I don't want anyone to take this in the wrong context. Like I'm saying that making this decision was a failure, but it's how I felt in the moment. Okay. So I was a teen mom. So at 17 years old, I found out I was pregnant. And oh my gosh, the fear that set in. But to be honest, I almost felt like I was failing her. And I didn't even know what this little baby was in my belly, but I thought to myself, like, is she going to have the life that she deserves? Because she's being born to a teen mom. So Melissa, I know you might feel this. And I had a choice at that moment. Do I let this fear of this failure hold me back and just live to that statistic, or do I rise above it and create something beautiful to give her an example of like, this is what I created and you can do it. And I don't know, I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. When you were going through that, was there a time that you felt like, how do I put it? Was there a time that you felt like, I literally can't do this? I like she's here, you're trying, and you're like, not because you can't be a mom, right? Because obviously we love our children and we would do anything and everything for them no matter what. But I mean, like personally, like, oh my gosh, I'm losing myself. I'm drowning inside. Like, was there ever a time that you felt like that?
Of course. Every decision that I made, I had to think too, like, how is this going to affect her? And there were times me and her dad separated after being together. Well, we were together for 5 years, but we separated right after she turned 1 year old. And I remember sitting there, and she's 11 now. And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, like, that I failed her, like I didn't give her that family. If I was older, I would have been, in a better relationship, and I would have been in a better place to like hold my marriage together and do those things. So I definitely have felt that. But then I quickly know like, all things are happening for me. And I just keep trying to flip that mindset. And I shared this the other day, I think it was the day before yesterday, that sometimes you feel like at any age that you're failing your kids. Like it's a normal mom thing.
All the time, girl.
And she came home from her dad's for the weekend, and she brought her journal in there. And like, I've really respected, I don't read her journal. Like that's her space to express herself. She's like, Mom, I want to show you something. And I was like, okay. And she had like mommy, I love mommy. And it was like all these drawings. And then it was words that describe my mom. And oh my gosh, Melissa, it was so sweet. And it was like, loving, always there for me, my biggest fan, money maker, life changer. Like these are like pretty good words. And I was like, literally looked at her and I was like, Leah, I love this. Like you have no idea to see that she sees me that way. So sometimes we think we're failing and that we're not giving enough time or we're not being as present, but we got to give ourselves grace, mama. Like we have to.
Yeah. Yeah. And no matter what age you're raising kids, it is freaking hard. Man, sometimes I feel like it was easier back then because I didn't know as much.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, totally feel the exact same way. Like, holy Toledo, what am I doing? But also like so madly in love with these little tiny humans. Oof, yeah. They're so, just thinking about them gets me all emotional.
I don't know, I'm like literally sniffling. But I was thinking to myself too, is like, I had a choice. We have a choice when we're faced with something. And it was like, I sat there and I was like, am I going to remain as a statistic, this teen parent, this dropout? Like when I graduated high school, I had my baby in the stands. And I remember thinking to myself, no, like I'm going to do big things. I'm going to make her proud. I'm going to lead by example and show that when you're faced with something, you can either use it to push you and propel you forward, or you can stay stuck in it. And I didn't want to stay stuck.
Yep. So good. Yes, totally. Yeah. I have always said to myself that I want to show my kids that it doesn't matter how long it takes you to do something. If you're committed to it, you'll do it, and just keep going. And it doesn't matter what obstacles get in your way. If you're committed to the thing that you want, just keep showing up and keep doing it, and you'll reach it.
Yes.
Okay, so what has been the biggest risk in your business that turned into a win?
I would say hosting my first retreat in the middle of a global pandemic.
Totally. Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah. Wow. What do you want to know about that, Melissa?
I want to know how the heck because I know the date originally was in May, and that was like the height. We don't even know when the height was, but like it was still new-ish, fresh-ish. And so we weren't really totally sure how long this was going to last, and we're still not. But how did you change the date and know that even though we were still in the pandemic in September, because I know you changed the date to September, how did you know, like, nope, I'm going forward with this regardless. I don't care what happens. Or what was your thought about it?
Okay. So at first I thought, oh my gosh, I did all this work and these women are desiring to be in this space and they've committed and they're showing up, and what do I do? And I thought maybe this is my sign. Like maybe I'm not supposed to do this. So for a minute, I almost like completely backed out. I'm not going to lie. And it was like every time I thought about it, I kept being pulled back. And I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, this is what you're supposed to be doing. It's been laid on your heart. So you need to pivot, figure it out. And so I had to talk with my husband, and I was like, what do I do? And like, I talked to my business coach, what do I do? And like, she goes, one of my business coaches, she's like, I think you just need to really spend some time and journal around this. And I was like, well, that's the typical answer, you know, like I did. I started journaling, and I literally imagined, what is the woman carrying with her when she walks through these doors? What is she feeling like? What is the weight of the world like? And I thought, there is no better time than now. This is when we need to be in this space more than ever.
Yeah.
And so I literally just went out and I was like, I'm moving the location. I downsized. I closed ticket sales. I moved the location. I checked with everyone. I refunded some people because they couldn't go or they didn't feel like they could be in the space because of COVID. I put in, COVID restrictions and safety measures, and I ran with it. And I'm going to just be really honest with you. I actually lost $8,000 on my first retreat. But it's okay because I cash flowed it. So I didn't have to go into debt or anything like that. But guess what? That moment when we were all sitting in that space, Melissa, I knew for 100% that I did the right thing. And when I heard those testimonials and I've seen these women leave this space and how they've transformed their lives in the middle of a pandemic, it has been worth it. And I am so thankful to give up.
Oh, it's so good. I love it so much.
Yeah.
So much.
That's the thing, is I did it scared and I was still provided for. I wasn't hurting.
Yes.
So.
Oh, so good. So good. And real quick, I know that this is totally stalker Melissa coming out. I know that you and your husband Preston got out of debt probably like right after you guys got married. How'd y'all do that?
Actually, we went through the first 3 years of our marriage in our debt-free journey. So we got married, we moved in, we consolidated households, we're a blended family, and we looked at the numbers and we were like, what is happening? Like, there's no way, like, we're not going to be able to live the life that we desire. My husband was a teen parent. He actually had his first child at 19. So we're only 3 years apart, but we have 2 11-year-olds and a 13-year-old. So we're like, okay, like they have all these sports coming and then they're going to be graduating and driving and college and weddings. And we're like, we can't give them the life that we desire in this financial position. So we buckled down, and it was a rough 3 years, I'm going to tell you, but it was worth it. Every single bit of it was worth it.
Oh, so amazing. I love hearing that. And debt-free stories are my favorite stories.
We'll
um,
talk about that more because I have so much to share about that. It's it's been really great to see people inspired by it and running and creating that for themselves, because if it wasn't for us having done that when he was furloughed during COVID and all those things were happening, we would have been back in a position, but we were financially prepared, just like Reach Retreat.
yeah.
We had things in place
Oh,
to be able to also help others. And that sets my heart on fire.
I love this so much. I'm so happy I finally got to have you on the podcast. What are you working on now other than Reach Retreat? Or we could just talk about that. Or where is the business headed?
Okay, so yeah, definitely Reach Retreat is something that's in the works. But I have actually been asked, and this is something that wasn't actually laid on my heart that I felt like I haven't really pursued, but I've been asked to speak a lot lately. I got asked to speak 2 weekends ago on the physical body and how it resonates into kind of what we talked about, like the foundation of your business, of your life, and being able to show up in those places. And then all of my Reach Retreat founding members were like, we thought we were going to hear you speak. So I haven't really announced it publicly, but I am speaking at Reach Retreat. So I'll be one of 4 keynote speakers.
Love it so much. It's going to be amazing.
Yes. So that's pretty much
So
it.
cool.
And then coaching, of course, the idea of helping women not just go to Reach Retreat and leave. Like, I really want them to experience that life of intention 365 days a year, and that support. I want to be that for them. So I've been doing coaching since, I guess, in the last 3 months or 4 months that I've been coaching. So it's been great.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so, shoot, I had a question and it totally left me. Dang it. I'll edit
It's
this part out, but
okay.
dang it. What was I going to ask you?
Speaking.
Oh, tell us the dates for Reach Retreat, because I don't think we've covered that yet.
Okay, so Reach Retreat is actually June 25th through June 28th. It's going to be held in Canyon Lake, Texas. It's the Hill Country. And it's an all-inclusive luxury experience. So private on-site chef, all of your swag bags, entertainment, keynote speakers. You literally just have to get there and you get to be pampered and loved on. No cooking, no cleaning, no kids. It's pretty magical.
No cooking, no cleaning, no kids. You had me at hello. I love it. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, it just gives you a chance to step away, because sometimes we're so cluttered in our mind and all the things that we have to do. This gives you a chance to really see, like, what does Melissa want? What does Danielle want?
Yes. Yeah, like a total me weekend, you weekend, just really diving into exactly who you are, what you want out of this crazy thing we call life.
Yes.
Love it. Okay, so let's do a quick rapid fire. What is a book, article, person, or talk that has changed your life?
I have 2 books. I don't have one. I would say The
Okay.
Compound Effect by Darren Hardy.
Okay.
And I would say The Super Attractor by Gabrielle Bernstein.
I love it. Okay. And what is the compound effect about?
It is about habits that you can put into place that compound over time for big results.
Love it. That's so interesting because I can't talk. Atomic Habits talks about that as well. So that's interesting.
It's a short read and it's really powerful. And I've been able to implement it in so many ways. It's a great book.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, cool. What is your favorite Friday night at home?
I would say homemade Thai food, fire, and Netflix with the husband.
Yes, I love that. And so are the kids all gone on the same weekends?
Yes. Yep. And the same for summer. So it's like we have our time and then we have like all the kids together and it's crazy wild fun and then we get to breathe for a minute.
Yes. So jealous. Okay, what was your dream job as a kid?
Teacher. I wanted to be a teacher.
And you kind of are.
I guess it's getting that way, yeah.
What is the next vacation that you're planning with your family?
Well, I've already actually booked a spring break trip to New Orleans. but
shut up, really?
yes. So we've already actually reserved our Airbnb and stuff, but I'm just hoping with travel restrictions that we're going to be able to go. And other than that, me and my husband are celebrating our 5 years. So we're actually planning a vow renewal in St. Lucia. So again,
so cool.
If we're allowed to travel, that's where we'll be.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm actually going for my 40th birthday in April to New Orleans, and I can't freaking wait because I've never been there. And really, I just want to eat my way around the city.
That's the thing. We just want to enjoy. We picked a spot that has a big chessboard in the backyard, like human size. And like, we're just taking both of our parents and our kids, and we're just getting away for a little bit.
I love it. That sounds like so much fun. What is your best advice to help our listeners live with audacity?
I don't know. This one's a good one. I would say not to overthink it. Is that a good response, Melissa?
Yeah, it is. It's a great response because I think most people struggle with that.
Yeah, I feel like I was just kind of wanting that one to come naturally because I feel like sometimes we overthink things and we let us hold us back, and it keeps us and preventing us from moving forward. So I've really been trying to implement more of like, don't overthink it, Danielle. You're type A. Like, you got to know all the things. You're an achiever on the Enneagram. Like, just if you feel it, to really pursue it and to step into it and to be more audacious.
Ooh, I love it. Love it. So you are an Enneagram 3, is that right?
Yes, I am. Are you?
I wish I was a 3. No, I'm an 8. So I challenge everything. Yeah, we are pretty cool, but we have a really hard time staying focused on one thing.
See, and that's what I love doing with the coaching is I get to, every single week, I get to say, okay, so what does the life of intention look like for you, Melissa? And then I'm like, what do we got to get done this week? What are we focusing on? Okay, is this in alignment with what you're wanting? Because like I told you earlier, we get so pulled many ways and we're like, I can go this far wide, but you never actually make big progress because you're focused so far on all the things that are stretching you thin. So you got this. I believe in you.
Yep, I totally agree. This has been so much fun and so incredible. Tell everyone where they can find you to get more information.
Of course. So I actually spend most of my time on Instagram, which is just Danielle_Throckmorton. You can look up any of the details that you would like as far as Reach Retreat at reach-retreat.com. And then I'm on Facebook as Danielle Throckmorton. So
love it. And I will be sure to include all of those links in the show notes. Danielle, thank you so much for being here. This has been so much fun.
I agree. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, boo-boo. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you found value in this episode, do me a solid favor and take a screenshot, post it in your stories, and tag me. I love watching you grow and live up to your greatest potential. Let me cheer you on.